Describe a time when you used your leadership skills to motivate your team or colleagues.
Okay, I'm going to use camp for an example because most of my work experience is from camp. We basically work every single day, all day, nonstop for about 3 months straight almost. And it's a really exhausting job. And my counselors, they were really tired. They kind of started struggling to push through towards the end. And I was there about 2 weeks before they are. So I was exhausted myself. But I know that in that leadership position, I had to show them, like, be a role model basically for positive energy, dedication, to continue to push through. Um, I would find ways to get them motivated and also explain to them that they're not alone, that I too am pretty tired, but it's all worth it in the end. Um, I just showed a lot of positive leadership, a lot of positive environment, and I continue to cheer them on. And yeah.
So, describe a time when you were responsible for a task you didn't receive training on and were unsure how to complete it. How did you handle that situation?
Working with children with special needs and without special needs is always a learning thing. It's always a process. Um, no child is the same. Every child is different. And it's really hard to train someone on how to interact with a particular kid. Some kids are nonverbal. Some kids communicate with an iPad. Some kids like water. Some kids don't. You just never know. Some kids might be aggressive. Some might not be. You don't know different triggers and things. So honestly, camp is really hard to train you completely on a particular situation, how to interact with a kid. And to be very specific, a certain experience I had was there was one child who was new to the camp altogether, and nobody really understood him, but he was nonverbal. And we kept trying to figure out what upset him because it always seemed like around lunchtime he'd get pretty anxious and upset, but he couldn't communicate. And none of us had training or had the brief on this type of kid. So it took a lot of time and patience to figure out what does this kid need. We took time to kind of do trial and error, figure out, does this trigger him, does this not trigger, does he like this, can he respond with that. um and then slowly but surely we found out the reason why he was pretty upset during lunchtime is because of the loudness, the noise. So we altered, based off of his needs, and we were able to work around and sit him outside by himself so that way he can enjoy peace and quiet, because in the cafeteria it's all types of areas and it can be pretty overwhelming. There are a lot of people, so we would schedule a certain counselor to be able to sit out with him and eat with him so he can have that type of peace and also be able to eat. But I say all that to say, once again, every child is different, so you kind of just play it by ear. You have to take time to, figure it out. Yeah.
So, give me an example of a time you had a conflict with a team member. How did you handle that situation?
Okay. Um, I'll use camp again. Um, so I am a supervisor, and I have an assistant supervisor, and he struggled with being 100% there, present with the team. If one of the counselors needed help, I would always ask, where's the assistant? And the assistant wasn't to be found. I don't like confrontation. So I would nicely say, like, hey, I kind of need you here. I would ask to see maybe what was their reason for not being in a certain place. And I would try to reason with them and understand. But then it kind of started being consistent. It was always a type of excuse. So I pulled him aside and I was like, look, we're a team. We need to figure this out. You know, you're not present, and all of the counselors need you. I need you. What's going on? And we had a conversation about it. I still didn't see much progress. So I feel like at that point, it's sometimes out of my hands. So I do have to talk to the higher ups. And, you know, I let them know what's going on. But also I tell them the reasons that he's told me. That way he can also get his say-so or whatever. And also I want to have a full conversation so that way not everybody was tagging against him or anything. But I don't not say anything. I try to kind of come off nicely about it. Say, you know, I noticed that this is going on. I have the reasons behind. And then, you know, I'll try to see what's their situation for why maybe they're not present. And then if something doesn't work out, then I'll go ahead and bring it to the higher ups, because at that point I feel like it's out of my hands. So yes. Thank you.
Thank you.